The villagers, after years of frustration with Amari's porridge-stealing antics, hatch a cunning plan. They decide to throw a grand village feast, seemingly in honor of Amari's long life in the community. The announcement is made with much fanfare, and the tortoise, both curious and greedy, watches as the preparations unfold. But the feast is a trap. Here's what they do. The villagers prepare a massive, irresistible cauldron of porridge, sweetened with honey and spices, placed conspicuously in the middle of the village square. It's the ultimate bait. Underneath the cauldron, they rig a cleverly disguised cage. As soon as Amari dives in for the porridge, the mechanism triggers, trapping her inside. Once caught, Amari is placed in a tortoise jail, a wooden enclosure prominently displayed in the village square, with a comical sign reading, Amari's porridge penalty, no stealing allowed. While Amari sulks in her makeshift jail, the villagers throw their real feast with all the food they've been hiding. They ensure Amari can see and smell the delicious dishes but can't get a single bite. After a day or two, the villagers release Amari, but not without a stern warning. They serve her a modest portion of porridge, reminding her that if she behaves, there will always be enough for everyone. The event becomes a tale passed down in the village for generations, a reminder of why greed, even from a centuries-old tortoise, never pays. The villagers' clever trap startled Amari so much that as she struggled to escape, her head rubbed continuously against the rough wooden slats of the makeshift jail. By the time she was released, all the hair on her head was gone, leaving her with a shiny, bald head that resembled an eagle's. From that day on, Amari's bald head became a source of mockery and a cautionary tale for other animals in the village. It's said that this is why tortoises, even to this day, don't have hair on their heads, and they are forever reminded of Amari's greedy misadventures and the ultimate lesson in humility she learned at the hands of the villagers. The return of Amari was nothing short of apocalyptic for the village of Camper. The once peaceful tortoise had transformed into a wrathful leader, emboldened by her time in exile and the support of her wild forest companions. The villagers, who had only just begun to enjoy the calm of Amari's absence, were completely unprepared for the chaos that unfolded. Under the cover of darkness, Amari and her gang of massive forest tortoises descended upon the village. They moved with terrifying coordination, leaving a trail of destruction. Crops were trampled and devoured, fruit trees stripped bare, and the open kitchens looted until not a single morsel was left. It seemed nothing could stop them. At dawn, the villagers awoke to discover the devastation. Horrified by the destruction of their livelihoods just before harvest, they rushed out to confront the invaders. But Amari and her gang were ready. Standing tall on their sturdy legs, their large red eyes glowing with rage, they launched a counterattack. Villagers who tried to corner them were met with heavy tortoise slaps and headbutts. Amari herself led the charge, punching anyone who came too close. The forest tortoises proved unexpectedly agile, chasing the villagers down narrow paths and into their homes. The people of Camper, despite their bravery, were utterly overwhelmed. The situation escalated quickly as the tortoises began targeting anything that resembled human resistance. They smashed pots, knocked down fences, and even chased livestock into the surrounding forest. The villagers, realizing they were outmatched, had no choice but to flee. They abandoned their homes, carrying only what they could as Amari and her gang claimed Camper as their own. By mid-morning, the village was eerily silent except for the sound of Amari's triumphant bellows. The once thriving settlement was now under the dominion of the wild tortoises. The villagers gathered at a safe distance, watching helplessly as their beloved Camper was overrun. Determined not to give up, the villagers vowed to return and reclaim their home. They began making plans to outwit Amari and her gang once more. But this time, they knew they would need more than just clever traps. They needed unity, courage, and perhaps even outside help to deal with the wrathful tortoise queen and her allies from the forest. The battle for Camper had just begun. The villagers cautiously emerged from their hiding place after hearing the spy's report. Camper was eerily quiet, with no sign of Amari or her wild companions. At first, They were hesitant, expecting an ambush, but as they inspected the village further, it became clear the tortoises had truly vanished. As the villagers regrouped, the head of the village, a wise elder named Babaton, called for a meeting under the large baobab tree on the edge of their farmland. His voice was calm but resolute. "We cannot continue this cycle of hostility. Amari and her kin are creatures of the land, just as we are. Perhaps we brought this upon ourselves by treating her with cruelty instead of understanding. If we wish to rebuild and live peacefully, we must learn to coexist with the tortoise population. This land belongs to all of us." Though some villagers grumbled, many nodded in agreement. They had suffered greatly from Amari's revenge and recognized the wisdom in seeking a harmonious solution. Elder Krishka proposed an idea: the villagers would create a sanctuary on the outskirts of Camper, a place where Amari and her companions could live without fear of human interference. In return, the villagers would offer food regularly to ensure the tortoises wouldn't feel the need to raid their homes again. To symbolize their intention, the villagers prepared a massive basket filled with porridge, Amari's favorite food, and other treats. They placed it in the middle of the village square, hoping it would attract the tortoises back for a peaceful negotiation. A few days later, just as the sun began to set, the villagers heard the familiar heavy thud of tortoise footsteps. Amari emerged from the forest, flanked by a few of her companions. She moved cautiously, her eyes scanning for any signs of another trap. When she saw the basket of porridge and the villagers standing quietly at a respectful distance, she stopped. Elder Krishka stepped forward, bowing slightly in a gesture of respect. "Amari, we come in peace. We wish to live together as neighbors, not enemies. This food is a symbol of our apology and our hope for harmony." Amari stared for a long moment, then slowly approached the basket. She sniffed the porridge, then took a bite. A hush fell over the villagers. After a tense few minutes, Amari made a low grunting sound and retreated back toward the forest with her companions. From that day on, the villagers honored their pact with the tortoises. They maintained the sanctuary, leaving food offerings at its edge every week. Amari and her gang stopped raiding the village, and peace slowly returned to Camper. The story of Amari became a legend, told to remind future generations of the importance of respect, coexistence, and understanding the balance of nature. Though Amari and the villagers never became friends, they learned to share the land without conflict, a testament to the power of reconciliation. The end. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my channel, share, comment and like my videos for more interesting stories.